Ladies and gentlemen, today I'm reacting to your Monday Night Raw Hot Takes. Hot Takes is a weekly video series where I give you all a platform to be able to voice your thoughts, whether those are good thoughts, bad thoughts, or everything in between about the world of professional wrestling. So if you'd like to be featured in the next episode of Hot Takes, make sure that you're following me over on X because I ask for your hot takes there after every episode of Raw, SmackDown, and every single WWE Premium Live event. And if you are looking for my 30+ minute review of this particular episode of Monday Night Raw, it's already up and available with footage so that you can see exactly what it is that I'm talking about over on patreon.com/SantiZap. Over there, we upload the Raw reviews, SmackDown reviews, PLE reviews, and a whole bunch of other videos and series that we can never upload here because we use real footage over there, and that would just get blocked here due to copyright. So go check it out, patreon.com/SantiZap. Link in the description, link in the pinned comment. And as always, don't forget to subscribe to this channel, ring the bell for notifications. If you're a wrestling fan, I promise you are going to fall in love with this YouTube channel because we always upload daily wrestling content. All right, that's enough. Let's see what you guys sent in. The switch up of Raquel Rodriguez going after the world title and allowing Liv to work closer with Roxy is a great twist. Building the on-screen chemistry between the two will result in a much better blow-off. So I pretty much agree with everything that you're saying here. First and foremost, I am so happy that Raquel Rodriguez is getting this opportunity in the women's main event scene because quite frankly, she has earned it. I dare say that Raquel Rodriguez may just be the most improved in-ring performer that the WWE has in 2025. Additionally, I'm also glad that WWE is pumping the brakes on Liv Morgan going after the Women's World Championship, mostly because I'm a big Stephanie fan, and I just know that the day that Stephanie goes up against Liv Morgan, that will be Stephanie's last day as WWE Women's World Champion. There's just no denying that Liv Morgan has this unstoppable momentum and popularity about her that whenever she challenges for this Women's World Championship, she should be winning it. But we're also at the point where I think she should be winning it at a much bigger stage, like a, dare I say, Wrestlemania, after winning the Women's Royal Rumble, because I firmly believe that Liv Morgan should win it and should be considered the favorite. I also like what you're saying about Liv Morgan and Roxanne Perez. I think it's true. I do think that that relationship and that tension has gotten a little bit cold because of Liv Morgan's absence due to her injury. And a great way to reignite that fire is to create an on-screen relationship between these two. Maybe they actually become friends. Maybe they even get the fans to fall in love with them so that once it inevitably falls apart, it hurts the fans even more and it lands even harder. Long story short, I like what they're doing with the Judgment Day girls. I think that this is a win-win-win for everybody involved. After looking at the mystery man tonight, this guy looks different than the one at War Games. So what if there's two mystery guys? Maybe it's a tag team or a faction. Unfortunately, the possibilities are borderline limitless. This could be the same person. This could be different people portraying the same person, and they just have different body doubles changing every single week. But I don't mind the idea of this being more than just one individual. I kind of like the idea of maybe this being a faction being led by Seth Rollins from the shadows as he's recovering from this injury, and maybe that's why all of these hooded masked figures are using the stomp as a way to signify that they are Seth Rollins' disciples. But if they are aligned with Seth Rollins, if this is a faction and or a tag team, or maybe if it is Seth Rollins, then that begs the question, why in the world are they helping the Vision? Why did they help the Vision win at War Games? Why did they help Logan Paul multiple times throughout the night? That doesn't really make any sense, frankly. But yeah, I'm not married to this having to be one individual. I'm kind of down for it to be a group, a faction of Seth Rollins followers that are just causing chaos on Monday Night Raw. But to me, the big thing is the reveal. We cannot continue to just drag this out for months and months and months. And I know that I might sound like I'm exaggerating like Santi. There's no way that they're going to hold out for months. Are you sure? Have you seen WWE lately? They love to drag things out for months and months and months, and I wouldn't be surprised if they do it here again. What was the point of Crash Out Jey if he was just going to go right back to how he's been for ages on the next week? They could have taken it somewhere, maybe a heel turn. Look, I don't think that a heel turn is completely off the table, even if it does feel like Jey Uso has returned back to his happy-go-lucky yeeting self. I do think that Crash Out was supposed to signify a loss in confidence in his singles run, in his ability to become a world champion, which is why in that backstage segment, he said that, hey, maybe Roman, that was right. That title would look better on him. And it's a Crash Out that's maybe led to Jey Uso giving up on his singles run and going back to his route as a tag team wrestler, where now it begs the question, what if it fails? What if he once again is not good enough? Maybe that leads us to part 2 of the Crash Out, because reuniting the Usos is unfortunately the best way to split them up again and give us that ever elusive Jey Uso heel turn that you're talking about. I'm not convinced that we have the Usos Usos here in the long term in the tag team division. I still think that WWE is going to utilize this to spark something bigger in the singles run of Jey Uso. Is anybody else confused as to why LA Knight was seemingly out of nowhere written off of TV? Confused? Yes. Surprised? Also not, because it just seems like something WWE would do to an LA Knight, somebody that's got all the momentum in the world that they just snuff out at the snap of a finger. We've been here, done that before with multiple guys in the past. Unfortunately, we've been here, done that with LA Knight. However, for some reason, this just felt a lot more personal. Like, why? LA Knight just had this fantastic run in the John Cena Last Time Is Now tournament, a run that admittedly he probably wasn't supposed to go on because of the injury to Sheamus, but it nonetheless revealed to the world and reminded the world how popular and how over LA Knight is and how good of an in-ring performer he could be. I thought that off of the back of this tournament that maybe WWE would give him an opportunity to flourish as a single star, and I thought that's what we were going to be getting when he got reinserted into the program that he seemingly got removed and yoinked from going into War Games in this program against the Vision. I just wasn't expecting for this night to end with LA Knight getting murdered on live television, because to me, I'm with you, that signifies him getting written off of TV. I don't know for how long, whether it's weeks or months, or maybe it's a Ricochet situation and it's forever. But yes, I am incredibly confused as to the direction that WWE is going. I'm borderline intrigued as well. Like, how in the world could you make this decision when LA Knight is as hot as he is right now, and with LA Knight having a fairly long contract still left with the WWE? They gotta be going somewhere with this. I just don't think that this is him being written off completely and forever. Thanks to the GOAT, this might turn out to be one of the best shows of the year. The card is insane. Yeah, so we have obviously John Cena versus Gunther. We have Cody Rhodes versus Obafemi. We now have AJ Styles and Dragon Lee taking on Javon Evans and Leon Slater, which, by the way, that might be the match of the frickin' decade with the talent that's in this match. And of course, we have Bayley versus Sol Ruca. I'm with you. I think that this could be the best show of the entire year. You know what's funny? The last show that WWE put together this quickly with little to no storylines was arguably the best show of the year thus far, Evolution, earlier this summer, the all-women's PLE. So I wouldn't put it out of the realm of possibility that this show that was seemingly booked out of thin air, out of nowhere, could end up being the best main roster show of the year. I'm telling you right now, buckle in for AJ Styles and Dragon Lee versus Javon Evans and Leon Slater. That match is going to absolutely blow your eyeballs out of your face. And I get to be there in person. I've never seen Obafemi in person. I've never seen Javon Evans or Leon Slater in person. I am pumped and jazzed to see these guys get to be showcased in front of the biggest audience that they've ever been showcased in front of. It's also kind of crazy that Leon Slater is being featured in this. He's holding a TNA X Division Championship and is being featured on John Cena's final show. That's crazy. Hey, for all of the flaws that WWE might have in 2025, at the very least, we still live in a timeline where WWE is doing these collaborations that you never really thought were possible. Really hoping that this is just to save him for a Rumble pop, but I'm very concerned. I think every LA Knight fan is collectively holding their breath, because it did feel like they've written him off the way that they did with Ricochet, as we've already talked about, but it is possible that they might be holding him off for a bigger pop, for a bigger moment. Now, that is certainly wishful thinking, but I do think that it does open up the opportunity for a big pop and a big return at the Royal Rumble. Maybe it's not even that far out. It could be a big pocket and a big return on the January 5th episode of Monday Night Raw. Maybe it's LA Knight that costs Bron Breaker the World Championship. Who knows? But I have to admit, it does all feel like wishful thinking, because I'm kind of at the point where I just sort of expect all of the worst things for LA Knight. So it does kind of feel like a little bit of coping to assume that they did this really bad thing to LA Knight because they plan on doing something really good for LA Knight. I just don't think that that's the case. In fact, this is a fool me once type of situation. You're never going to fool me again. Remember when LA Knight didn't win the 2023 Money in the Bank when we all wanted him to win and we all thought he was going to win? What did Triple H say? Good thing comes to those that wait. How much longer are we going to wait with this dude? How much longer can you hold off LA Knight? How much longer can we continue to wait? I just don't know. I don't know that I have any more waiting left in me. So knowing that WWE continues to rubber band LA Knight back, it seems to me like you're being a tiny bit delusional to think that this is all to set up something bigger and better for LA Knight when WWE has seemingly always shown me the complete opposite when it comes to the booking of LA Knight. I really hope that they're just writing Knight off for some vacation time before coming back for a big Rumble win. But man, did this feel like how they wrote Ricochet off of the company. Yeah, I want to focus on the Ricochet bit because this is how they wrote off Ricochet from WWE, and he ended up getting beat up so bad that he ended up becoming All Elite and appearing on AEW television not that long after. I don't think it's like that, but I can see why people are immediately jumping to that conclusion that my man here, LA Knight, got ricocheted and is now going to be Eli Drake, and that Eli Drake is going to be All Elite in a couple of weeks. But LA Knight does have a handful of years left in his contract. That might not necessarily mean anything, especially if LA Knight, let's say, asked for his release and they granted, then all of a sudden all of those years of being in contract just don't matter. But I just don't think that that's the case. LA Knight worked so damn hard and spent so many years clawing to get to the WWE, to get that big bag from the WWE, to get that big contract from the WWE. What, for him to just throw it all away simply because he's not being booked the way that people think he should be booked? I don't know. That just seems like it would be a bad business decision and not in the interest of LA Knight to do. Tell me, how does it make sense that the tag team champions lost 2 times in a row, and how are they supposed to be the big heel teams if they aren't getting any W's or standing tall at all in any segments whatsoever? They need to treat the Kabuki Warriors as a serious threat and not like jobbers. You know what? I actually agree with this sentiment. If you want the women's tag team division to be treated as seriously as they clearly want you to, because they are stacking this division with so many of the top main eventers that the WWE has when it comes to women, then you should probably treat the champions like what they're supposed to be, champions. The division in many cases is only as strong as the champions. Yes, you can have all of these stars in the division, left, right, and center. You can have Rhea Ripley's, Io Sky's, Bayley's, you can have Charlotte's and Alexa Bliss's, but if your champions are being treated not like champs, but instead like chumps, then I do think it tremendously hurts this division, and it doesn't make it as legitimate as it otherwise could be. And it's not as if we're dealing with a bunch of no-name champions here that don't hold a candle to some of the big stars that are in the division. We're talking about the freaking Kabuki Warriors, arguably the most successful women's tag team in the history of the WWE, with Kairi, Sane, and a first ballot WWE Hall of Famer, Asuka. It's not really a hard, impossible ask to make the champions look strong along the path of as we go towards whatever it is that they're doing with the women's tag team championship division, which I'm predicting to be a big TLC match. So yeah, I agree. I think they should be making the Kabuki Warriors look stronger as they continue to build this division. I need the Usos to have another feud with the New Day. The tag team division could really use it. I do want to point out that it's been a long time since we've had a proper Usos versus the New Day feud, long enough where I'm willing to bet that there's a good chunk of you watching this YouTube video that got into wrestling and you haven't actually seen the New Day and the Usos feud since you've started watching wrestling. And I am here to tell you that, folks, you are in for a treat, because the Usos versus the New Day is arguably one of the best tag team rivalries that the WWE has ever had. And reigniting it in 2025 is not only exciting for that reason, but it's also exciting because, to me, this signals the proper revival of the tag team division. If you are pulling the trigger on reigniting the Usos versus the New Day, it's because you actually want to care about the tag team division for one. And WWE has been following the blueprint that worked over on SmackDown, which is just to allow the tag teams to just cook, to allow the champions to be showcased and demonstrate why they're champions and why they're so good, to make themselves undeniable, to make fans want more of their matches. But now you're going to add a legacy rivalry like the Usos and the New Day into this blossoming men's tag team division on Monday Night Raw. I think you've got nothing but a win here. I think this is a slam dunk, a home run, a hole in one, all of the sports references that you can muster up. Genuinely, who told Braun to say, quote, "I'm gonna Braun break you"? Yeah, dude, that was so bad. It's not as bad as suffering succotash, but I'm gonna Bron break you is easily the corniest thing that Bron Breaker has ever said. It's funny because that promo felt like Bron Breaker was just trying to say things that could maybe get turned into t-shirts like, I'm gonna Bron break you, or spear 1 2 3, spear 1 2 3. Maybe that'll get turned into a crappy t-shirt on WWE Shop for $50. I know people don't want to wait this long, but the masked man being revealed at the Rumble would be sick. No. That is entirely way too long. There is just no way that the reveal of who the masked individual is that big that it's worth waiting that long. I don't even care if it's Chris Jericho. It's not worth waiting that long. And you know what? It's especially not worth waiting for if it's Austin Theory, a guy that seems to be stuck in the forever long-term storytelling vortex of Triple H that never gets paid off. I am done with long-term storytelling involving Austin Theory. If I'm a betting man, I don't think that they go all the way to the Royal Rumble as you're suggesting. I bet that they reveal who the hooded figure is on the January 5th episode of Monday Night Raw, the 1-year anniversary of Raw Netflix. It does sound like, from the outside looking in on paper, like that they're trying to make that show feel like a borderline PLE kind of deal. And if that's the case, revealing who this person is or who these people are, I think is a great reveal on that show in particular. I'm going to be honest. I'm pumped to figure out who it is, but not that pumped. I just don't think that this has the legs to go all the way to the Rumble. LA Knight will come back bigger than ever if WWE capitalizes on this perfectly well. I refuse to believe WWE is giving up on the guy with their 5-year contract extension, decent merch, and overness with the crowd. We've already speculated whether or not this is him being written off, if he's been fired or let go from the WWE. I don't think that we need to touch on that anymore. But I do want to talk about the fact that he could come back bigger than ever. And I think that you might have something there. We have numerous opportunities for LA Knight to come back in a place that can generate a big pop and a big buzz. The January 5th episode of Monday Night Raw, we have the Royal Rumble just around the corner. And if there's something that always works in terms of generating buzz around somebody, is when WWE doesn't give the ball to the guy that the fans clearly love. Obviously, like, the big example is everything that happened with Daniel Bryan in 2013 and in 2014. I don't think that we're going to be reaching those levels here with LA Knight, but if you continue to frustrate the fan base enough, if you continue to pull the rug from somebody that is this beloved and this much of a fan favorite and this over and get this much of a reaction and sells this much merch, eventually you're going to create a ticking time bomb with the fans. A ticking time bomb, like if you said, if handled correctly, could lead to the catapulting of LA Knight into superstardom that he could have never foreseen. But then again, that is all very much wishful thinking because everything that I've seen about LA Knight's booking just says otherwise. Listen, it's very clear that WWE just doesn't care about pulling the trigger on LA Knight ever, regardless of how popular he is. I might be in the minority, but I'm loving Nikki Bella's work as of late, and I do hope that she stays in the world title picture. I don't understand why she gets a ton of hate. She's a great in-ring talent and cares for the younger generation. Listen, I could sit here and clown on Nikki Bella, and I'm not gonna do that. Like, I feel like that's too easy and honestly at this point kind of played out. I think that she's doing some of the best work of her career. I think that she is leagues and bounds better than she was in the 2010s during the Divas era. And she is working with younger talent and putting younger talent over. And to me, even though I'm not a Nikki Bella fan, I have to acknowledge that and give her a thumbs up. Do I think she needs to be in the world title picture? I'm going to be honest. No, I think if anything, she might be better served feuding with Maxxine Dupri in the Women's Intercontinental Championship picture, helping put over that division, that title, and this new up-and-comer in Maxxine. Again, no disrespect to Nikki Bella here because I do want to acknowledge the good that she has done since returning to the WWE, but there are so many more appetizing options in the Women's World Championship picture. I can literally sit here for like 20 minutes and list them all to the point where it just doesn't make any sense for WWE to continue with Nikki Bella in the World Championship picture. Here we go. Raquel wins the belt off of Stephanie, and your Women's Royal Rumble winner, Liv Morgan, picks Raquel to go after to get back the World Championship. I'm tuned in. I do think that eventually there will be some sort of fallout between Liv Morgan, Dominic Mysterio, and the members of the Judgment Day, but I don't think that this scenario, as you've said it, takes place. I don't think that Raquel Rodriguez is going to win the Women's World Championship. I do think that Liv Morgan wins the Royal Rumble. Here's my prediction, though. At the Royal Rumble, Liv Morgan wins it, and along the way, she eliminates both Roxanne Perez and Raquel Rodriguez to help blow off their story and to help catapult whatever feud that they might end up having on the road to WrestleMania. But I think the end goal here is Liv winning and facing off against Stephanie for the Women's World Championship. I just don't think that it's going to be Raquel versus Liv. Kairi Sane keeps having great nights. If WWE wants to see if she can be a main roster single star, the window is open now. Her storyline tension with Asuka needs to start escalating again and soon. I did actually forget about this, and I'm kind of sad that they didn't really blow it off. They could reignite it at any moment, the whole storyline of Asuka kind of being abusive and tyrant and forcing Kairi to fall in line to everything that she says. You have an opportunity there, but it doesn't seem like WWE is keen on taking advantage of that opportunity. Instead, it seems like the Kabuki Warriors are actually more cohesive than they've ever been. I would like WWE to try it, but I am concerned about WWE's desire to give it enough runway to actually pick up steam. I'm concerned that if they do, Kairi finally trying to break away from Asuka, that they won't actually give it the tender love and care that it deserves, and that it'll be dead on arrival, and that it won't ever pick up any steam. And now all of a sudden we have a Kairi Sane and an Asuka that are kind of in limbo as single stars. If the WWE doesn't have any plans on actually doing something of substance with Kairi Sane finally turning on Asuka, honestly, I'd rather them just stay as a tag team, because I think that they're more safe to get work as a tag team than as single stars in the current landscape of WWE. It makes me sad that we aren't getting a promo from John against Gunther. Honestly, don't be sad. I do think that John Cena would accidentally or on purpose completely obliterate Gunther on the microphone to the point where Gunther never recovers. But hey, I do think that Gunther's promo was pretty solid. I do think that it did a great job at reminding you about the dread and the fear of having this guy, the guy that makes everyone quit, making your hero John Cena go back on everything that he stands for, hustle, loyalty, and respect, and finally quitting on his last match. To me, that is a sense of dread and darkness that no one, no LA Knight, no Jey Uso, no Solo Sikoa, not even a Sheamus could actually bring to the table. I'm glad that this is the angle that they're taking, because to me, this is the only angle that really works going into John Cena's retirement match. Maxxine Dupri has been killing it in these new dungeon vignettes, but I'm not gonna lie, I'm way more excited to see Natty back with her low-key legend persona even more. Okay, so that's what I said last week, and I was super pumped when they actually did the full face reveal to show that it was the low-key legend Natty Neidhart that was training with Maxxine Dupri. And then what did they do? Within 30 seconds of her reveal, they had her get tapped out by Maxxine Dupri. Like, why? Why'd they do that? And I get what they're doing. It's to show, oh my God, look at the improvement of Maxxine Dupri under Natty. She's so good that she's even making Natty tap out. But in the process, I feel like they kind of hurt the reveal of Natty Neidhart, which is, by the way, this persona that has not actually ever been seen on the main roster before. We've only seen it in AAA and in a couple of indie shows like GCW Bloodsport. And the second that she gets actual screen time on WWE TV and becomes canon on WWE TV, they have her tap out. I don't get that. All because of a sign. This man got treated in one of the worst ways possible. Oh man, dude, this sign is going to haunt LA Knight fans forever, and we'll never really know until LA Knight actually leaves the company, he retires, whatever it might be, and then he spills the bean on the inevitable Chris Van Vliet episode featuring Eli Drake, and that will be the first thing I want CVV to ask. Did he get punished for holding this sign? Because I can't see it not being the case, because everything that has happened to LA Knight after this has just been nothing but terrible news. Why is Stephanie not in the women's WrestleMania promo? Is Liv gonna beat her before Rumble, or is Raquel gonna be the champ, or do they go with a different route? My guess is that she's not on the promo because she's not as popular as the women that they have pictured here. I don't think it's that deep, but there is a possibility that maybe she does get added to the promo. We did see the promo evolve more until it eventually added Liv Morgan into it. Maybe it'll expand and evolve more and eventually add Stephanie Vaquette. I don't know. By the way, I will say, I feel like these women's WrestleMania ads are way better than the men's. I feel like these hit way harder and get me more pumped for WrestleMania than the lame-ass poker game. Although this was a solid match, why are they constantly running back the same matches every few weeks? Haven't these two been in the ring at least 4 times already in the last few months? Yeah, but it was a good match, so I'm not really going to complain about that. But I will also say, even though they have been running it, you know, several times over the last several months, it does make sense for them to run it here, considering it's all coalescing into all the big stuff that's happening with the Women's World Championship. And this gives us an opportunity to, one, put Roxanne Perez with a worker that is obviously going to help her look amazing because they have such great chemistry with one another. But it also allows Liv Morgan to now interact with people like Lyra, like Bayley, people that she hasn't interacted with in a very long time, if ever. I think that there are worse things that WWE can do. I'm never going to complain with them running back a match that we've seen before if we know that the match is going to be good. All right, folks, thank you so much for watching this episode of Hot Takes. I'll see you guys in the next one. I'm done. Goodbye. Get out of here.